Shalom, dear friends. Welcome to another installment of Twerski's Torah Tidbits. Hang on here, let me get that out of the way. My name is Devorah Kalik, and I've been doing these Facebook Lives every Thursday night, and hope and pray I can continue to do so. I'm going to tag some friends and see if... well, it's funny, it's not letting me tag. There's something, I was trying to tag people today, and it wouldn't let me, so I'm not sure what the heck is happening. But oh well, maybe Facebook is having some technical issues. So anyway, hi Dad, I see you're there, welcome, and Shabbat Shalom. It's tomorrow, wow, already another week has gone by. So I'm just going to wait a little bit, and there's my mom. Hi, Mom, my two greatest fans besides my husband. So Shabbat Shalom. I hope you're feeling better, Mom. I know you haven't been feeling so great today. So I'm going to wait a few minutes and see if we can get some people to join in, and I hope that we'll have a few more people coming on tonight. So I'm going to try to tag some people. I don't know why it wouldn't let me earlier. Strange. Okay, so just bear with me. Just bear with me for a few minutes. So there's a lot going on in my Torah-related life, if you will. My rabbi is now in South Korea, and Rabbi Shapiro is now in South Korea, and then Pastor Matt McEwen is in Paris. As many of you know, I'm part of a yeshiva, and it's called Yeshivat Shuvu, and we have, basically little mini yeshivas under Yeshivat Shuvu all over the world. So I get a lot of information on what is going on in the rest of the world because of all of our yeshiva students who are doing great work there. So, okay, I'm going to leave that be. Shabbat Shalom, Laureen, it's nice to see you with us. And just if I don't say anything to you and acknowledge that you're there, please forgive me. The way Facebook works is there's a feed or multiple feeds that come in when you do a live. And so I don't always see who all is on watching until the end. So God bless you if you're here. And if this is your first time, my name is Mora Devorah. That means I'm a teacher. And let's see here. And that means I'm a Torah teacher, ordained. And so what I do weekly is try to teach weekly on each Torah portion that we arrive at. And the Torah is divided into 52. Is that right? 52 portions. Yeah, I think that's correct. So actually it's 48, and then we have some holidays. But so each week we study a section of the Torah. And this week we are starting a new book called Sefer Vayikra, the book of Leviticus. So, and the parasha has the same name, Vayikra. So we'll just wait a few more minutes to get some more people watching here. And so I really appreciate all of you who are being faithful. It's encouraging to me to have you come and listen to what I feel Hashem has allowed me to learn as I've studied. Most of everything I get comes from the sages and Rabbi Shapiro, and of course he shares from the sages. And so it's a lot of fun to study Torah. Oh, hi, Megs. How are you? It's nice to have you with us. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So this program is a Bless Israel Network program called Twerski's Torah Tidbits. And this program is where we discuss insights on the Torah portion from Rabbi and Dr. Abraham J. Twerski. May his memory be for a blessing. Throughout Rabbi Twerski's life, he continued the legacy of his ancestors who founded the basically Hasidic Judaism. And by the way, the New Testament is very, very Hasidic. And so anyway, throughout his life, he continued to support the legacy that his ancestors started. And the greatest or most illustrious, I should say, ancestor was Rabbi Nahum Menachem Twerski, who lived in the mid-18th century, and he was the founder of the Chernobyl dynasty, and there in what is Russia, and wrote one of the great classic commentaries on the Torah called Meor Enaim. Rabbi Abraham Twerski, the descendant that I'm reading his commentaries, was an MD. And in his psychiatric practice, he tried to help his patients to apply the teachings of Torah to their everyday lives. There's much we can learn, as we're going to find out tonight. As many of you know, I've been inspired over the last few years with Rabbi Twerski's commentaries, which are, by the way, available. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or if it's going to be reversed, but this book is called Twerski on Chumash, and it's published by ArtScroll. That's at artscroll.com. Well, this week, as I was saying earlier when I was waiting to get started, we are beginning a new book of the Torah, Sefer Vayikra, or the book of Leviticus. Vayikra is also the name of the first parasha, the first Torah portion, and it means he called. I have entitled this study, The Small Alef, Are You the Ani? Our first verse says, and I quote, "And he," meaning God, "called to Moses, and Hashem spoke to him from the tent of meeting, saying." Rabbi Twerski begins saying about this verse that the Midrash calls attention to the fact that although Moses had attained an intimate relationship with God, because as the Midrash says in Vayikra Rabbah, chapter 1 and section 15, it says there, God spoke to Moses as a person would to his friend. Well, he continues, Moses nevertheless did not enter the Ohel Moed, or the tent of meeting, until God called and invited him. This is to teach us that a person should always behave courteously and respectfully. Rabbi Twerski then goes on to quote the Midrash, which makes a rather harsh yet eye-opening statement. And I quote, "If a Torah scholar does not have the knowledge to act respectfully, then a dead carcass is better than him." Ooh. Well, I don't know if any of you realize this, and probably many of you do, but a dead body is the highest degree of ritual contamination that there is. So this is a very negative statement. Well, Rabbi Twerski says that that same statement should also include, and I quote, anyone who is looked upon as being Torah observant, because we are essentially representing God and the Torah. And shouldn't we also behave courteously and respectfully to intimate family members and friends as well? I think most all of us would agree, and yours truly is included, that we sometimes allow our good manners to go downhill a bit because of familiarity with people that we're close to. We shouldn't allow this to happen. This leads us to the next topic that I would like to share with you, humility. Now, some of you have probably heard this before, but the word Vayikra, meaning he called, which begins this week's parashah, is written with a small letter Aleph. Now, we see these anomalies in a Torah scroll and elsewhere in the Tanakh, where we have enlarged letters, we have small or diminished letters, and we even have upside down letters. Well, in this week's parashah, the letter Aleph, our A, if you will, in the alphabet, the letter Aleph is noticeably smaller here than all the rest of the letters. Shabbat Shalom, Aaron. I just saw that you joined us, and I'm so happy you're here. It always encourages me when you are here watching and listening. And please, I welcome your comments, any of you. Okay, so back to the small letter. Well, Rabbi Twerski explains that without the Aleph in our word Vayikra, the word would be Vayikra, which means he happened upon him. And it's a rather deflammatory term used when God spoke to the villainous Balaam in Numbers 23:4. Well, the Baal HaTurim, another of our great sages, comes along and explains that because of his profound humility, Moses wanted to use the word Vayikra in regard to how God spoke to him instead of Vayikra. Inasmuch as God commanded him to write Vayikra, Moses wrote a diminutive or small Aleph. Now, it's important to note that there are several other times that God called to Moses, from the midst of the burning bush in Exodus 3:4, from the mountain in Exodus 19:3, and from the midst of a cloud in Exodus 24:16. In all these places, the Torah uses the word Vayikra without the small Aleph. Why is this time different? Well, the sages come along with a whole lot of different explanations, and I'm just going to share a few of them with you. With regard to Moses wanting to use the word Vayikra and its association with Balaam, the Baal HaTurim explains that Moses wanted to suggest that he was no more worthy of hearing Hashem's voice than Balaam. But the Holy One, blessed be he, objected and insisted that he use the letter Aleph in his desire to set Moses apart from the wicked Balaam. Well, it's further taught, again by the Baal HaTurim, that Moses finally acquiesced, he gave in, but only with reluctance, and thus he made the letter Aleph smaller than the other letters in the word. And obviously God let that stand, because in every Torah scroll and in some of your Hebrew Bibles, it will show the small Aleph. Well, on this subject, Midrash Tanhuma says, do not claim honor in the presence of the king, and do not stand in the place of great men. For it is better that it be said to you, come up here, than for you to be placed lower. This is Proverbs 25, verses 6 and 7. Well, Rabbi Tanhum, who wrote the Midrash Tanhuma, says, move two or three seats lower than your place at the table, so they should tell you, come up here, but do not come up on your own initiative, lest they say to you, go down. This should sound familiar to us. Listen to what our master, Rabbi Yeshua, said in Luke 14, verses 8 to 11. And I quote, if a man invites you to his wedding celebration, Do not recline at the head of the table, or the head of the table. Or someone else more honored than you may be invited there. But if you are invited, sit in the last place, so that the host will come and say to you, my friend, move up higher than this. It will bring you honor before those reclining with you. Everyone who lifts himself up will be brought low, but everyone who lowers himself will be lifted up. I really like something that Rabbi Moshe Chaim Ephraim, also known as Ephraim as Sudilkov, wrote in his commentary on Vayikra on the Small Alef. He says, with the same measure that a man uses, it will be measured to him. What he explains is that since Moses lowered himself through the attribute of humility, God lowered himself to speak directly to Moses from within the Mishkan, the tabernacle. Rabbi Ephraim understands the small aleph as representing God. The spelling of the letter Aleph is Aleph Lamed Pei. From Aleph, we get the word aloof, meaning champion, or in this case, the master of the world, who lowered himself to the level of human beings. And from this we learn, according to the Reb Sudilkov, every person should conduct himself in the attribute of humility, and he should learn from the Creator, blessed be He. Therefore, the word Vayikra is written with the small Aleph. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Danny. So nice to have you with us. And I should say shalom to my husband too. Well, just continuing on, this small Aleph should once again remind us of our Messiah, who also lowered himself to the level of human beings. As it says in Philippians 2:8, quote, and being found in human form, he humbled himself by being obedient to the point of death, even death on the cross or the execution stake. Messiah humbled himself like Moses, and thus he became a worthy vessel through which Hashem could speak through him to us. I want to jump ahead to Leviticus chapter 5 and talk about the asham, or the guilt offering. The asham was viewed as an offering of reparation and was brought to atone for sins of stealing things from the altar, for when you are not sure whether you have committed a sin or what sin you have committed, or for a breach of trust. When there was doubt as to whether a person had committed a sin, the person would make an asham rather than a chatat, a sin offering, because bringing a chatat would constitute admission of the sin, and the person would have to be punished for it. If a person brought an asham and later discovered that he had in fact committed the sin, he would have to bring a chatat offering at that time. This is never a communal offering, but a personal one. There is also a korban asham that someone brings when he's in doubt to atone if he did a severe sin inadvertently. If the person suspects that he did commit a serious sin that would incur the penalty of being cut off from his people, he must bring an asham, a guilt offering of uncertainty or devout. This would be called, my friends, an asham talui. Asham talui means a suspended or hanging guilt offering. This is what the Sifra says in speaking of this Torah portion in section 5. This is very interesting and important, so I hope I have your attention. Talui means hanging, and we would say that this is an offering of hanging doubt. This happens in court at times when the jury is undecided, or some members are doubting whether to convict or not. When the jury can't come to a decision, it is called a hung jury. It's sort of similar to this. When something is hanging physically, it always sways or swings back and forth, another allusion to uncertainty. It should be noted that in the days of the shlichim, the emissaries or the apostles, the asham talui was still offered in the temple by people who were in doubt if they had committed a transgression or not. Thus, it is called a guilt offering of uncertainty. Did you know that many of the Jewish people refer to Yeshua of Nazareth as Talui or Ha-Talui? This means the hanged one, or actually, better in context, the crucified one. Ironically, Ha-Talui implies uncertainty or doubt. Is it possible he could be the Messiah? What if what he said is true? As if the Jewish people are asking, have we falsely accused him? What do the prophecies say? Amazingly, Isaiah 53:10 foretells that the Messiah will suffer on behalf of Israel when, quote, he will make his soul a guilt offering, asham. This teaches us that Yeshua's death on the cross is, in a metaphorical sense, an asham. For whose guilt? Israel's and those who have attached themselves to her. As the rest of Isaiah 53:11 promises that, quote, the righteous one, my servant, will justify the many as he will bear their iniquities. It's no wonder that our Chazal, our sages of blessed memory, call Messiah Chivra, the Aramaic term for leper. Chivra actually means white, which is the color of the skin of the diseased leper, the person who has tza'arat in Hebrew. This title for Messiah is based on Isaiah 53 verse 8, which says, surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. Though the word chivra is not found in the verse in Isaiah, he is a leper comes from the term stricken, which is negah in Hebrew, which interestingly can also mean a touch. Since it says we esteemed him stricken, it can mean that God touched him with leprosy. Now, we're not talking about literal here. We're talking about figurative and how he's viewed by the Jewish people as a leper. Tzvi Sadan, in The Concealed Light, writes, and I quote, in light of this, when the names of Messiah are discussed in Tractate Sanhedrin of the Talmud, each school names Messiah after its own rabbi. So, for example, to the students of Rabbi Yanai, Messiah is called Yinon, because in Psalm 72:17 it says, may his name endure Yinon forever. Or may his name be continued forever as long as the sun. To the students of Rabbi Shelah, Messiah's name is Shiloh from Genesis 49:10. meaning Shiloh, his gift. In the same way, and that goes on in Sanhedrin 98a. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but in the same way, Messiah is called leper, Chivra, after Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. It is said that he suffered greatly, or possibly was a leper himself. To support their claim that Messiah is called Chivra, the students of Rabbi Yehuda say, his name is Chivra, after the house of Rabbi, meaning their rabbi, Rabbi Yehuda, since it says, we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. This is Tractate Sanhedrin 98, page 98b. Accordingly, the understanding is that the prophet speaks about Messiah who is touched by God and who becomes a leper for the sake of Israel. With regard to the Chivra, we should say the small Alef not only alludes to the humility of Moses and the humility of our Creator, the Master of the universe, but also the small Alef is a reminder of the humility of our Messiah. Let me take a drink of water. The Torah speaks of Moses as the most humble man, Anah, on the earth, in Numbers 12, verse 3. Moses was great, but Messiah is greater. Did you know that the Chazal also gave Messiah the same title that signifies humility? They call him Ani, meaning poor, lowly, or humble, based on the verse in Zechariah 9:9, which says, behold, your king is coming to you. He is a tzaddik, righteous and victorious, humble, lowly, ani, and riding on a donkey. This verse is saying that though Messiah is a righteous one and has been victorious in battle, rather than riding on a white horse and being proud, he rides on a chamor, a donkey, one of the most lowly of animals, because he himself is poor in spirit. He is humble. He knows who he is, carrying within him all of the midot, the qualities, the attributes of Hashem himself, as it says in Colossians 1:15. Yet he is called Ani, poor, lowly, and humble. He is the perfect picture of the small Aleph. You know, we often talk about our need to be more like Messiah. Are we Ani? Are we lowly and humble? I remember once reading that we can have all kinds of giftings and be the best of this or that. We can be the most loving, the most generous, or the most wise person. We can be the best teacher, pastor, or leader. But if we really want to be great, we must be willing to be the least, like our Master was. We must take the last seat at the table. We must wear humility like an undergarment, the foundation of everything else that we are. Shimon Kepha, Peter, said it in this way in his first letter in chapter 5, verse 5. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility toward one another, for God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. If we want to be most like our Messiah, humility is the quality that is like the infrastructure that holds everything else that we are together. We must wrap ourselves in garments of humility, just as he did. We must be willing to be a chivra, a leper, an outcast, and considered the least among our brothers and sisters. This is what it means to be ani. I find it very interesting, more than interesting, that ani, the word meaning lowly or humble, is spelled with the letters ayin, nun, yod. And ani, meaning I, is spelled with aleph, nun, yod. The I represents the ego and is the opposite of the ani, signifying humility. But when the aleph of the ani, which means I, chooses to be made small, it means that the self or the ego is saying, I recognize that there is an aleph who is the aluf, the champion, the creator, the master of the universe, and the aluf is greater than I. The aluf is the big aleph, and I submit myself to him. Therefore, I diminish myself and make my aleph small. This is how a person becomes the ani with an ayin, meaning lowly or humble. Well, that's it for tonight, my friends. I want to thank you so much for joining with me and allowing me to share with you what I have learned from Vayikra. Last night began Rosh Chodesh Nisan, so Chodesh Tov to you all. Nisan is the month of redemption and miracles, so I pray that this Nisan will be full of Nisim, miracles, for you and your family and all your loved ones. Don't forget that Pesach, Passover, is coming quickly. Seder is the night of April 5th. And I want to encourage you to get the newest resource available from Rabbi Yitzhak Shapira called From Nisan to Nisan, Haggadah and the Hidden Mashiach on Amazon in a Kindle version. It is an expanded Haggadah to enrich your Passover Seder, and I put the link on my Facebook page earlier today, and I'll try to remember to put it at the bottom of this video. And last, if you would like to support us so we can continue bringing you these teachings and help us to continue with our mission to raise up Zion before the nations, please visit us at www.blessisraelnetwork.com. Give us a thumbs up on our Facebook page, and please subscribe to our YouTube page of the same name. Well, Bezrat Hashem, I hope to see you next week, and Shabbat Shalom to you all. I send my love to you.